some top fat loss mistakes that we often make. So being within this role and having my business now for over 4 years, I find that I come across very regularly some pretty consistent mistakes that my members and that people are making. Morning, Matt. How you doing? Thanks for joining me. Alrighty, so the first one, and this is really a one that I find females in particular do quite a bit. So number one mistake that we make is we cut out all carbs. Like we have a all or nothing approach when it comes to carbs. Now, my question to you straight away is going to be why? Why are you cutting out carbohydrates? Like, carbohydrates are one of the 3 macronutrients that our body needs to be able to function optimally and, to its best ability. So carbohydrates, protein, and fats. Alrighty, and carbohydrates is our body's main energy source. So we're getting energy from the carbohydrates. So if you feel that you're quite lethargic, you feel fatigued all the time, it could be because of a lack of carbohydrates in your diet. Now, a lot of the time when we think about carbohydrates, the first thing that comes to mind is those simple refined carbohydrates, like chips, like biscuits, like cakes. Yes, they absolutely are carbohydrates. They're simple, they're refined, they're processed carbohydrates. However, there is also on the other end of the spectrum some carbohydrates that actually serve our bodies in the best possible way. Alrighty, so these are our complex carbohydrates. So when I'm talking about complex carbohydrates, I'm talking about, fruit, vegetables, legumes, beans, sweet potato, rice, those type of things, whole grain pastas, whole grain breads and cereals in that sense. Alrighty, so the simple carbohydrates, the refined carbohydrates, they are super addictive. They're marketed and they're made to be like that. So don't feel bad or don't feel guilty in a sense that, you might get into habits or routines where you find that you eat a lot of those. That is how they are designed. They're designed to be like that, because we get to a space where we don't know how and when to actually stop eating them, because we can't determine when we're actually full when we're eating them. And a lot of the time we're actually, when we're consuming those type of foods, we're sitting there with the whole bag of chips. We're sitting there with the whole bag of biscuits as such. Alrighty, so instead of cutting out carbohydrates altogether, what I'd like you to do is just change your perspective on carbohydrates and know that it is an energy source to our body and that we need carbohydrates for our body to work in the best possible way. Alrighty, so let's look at the type of carbohydrate that we're eating. Now, I want to just tell you a little story about a client I do have, Leonard, his name is. So, hey, Leonard, if you're watching, shout out to you. Now, Leonard comes from an Asian culture where he eats a lot of rice. And when he came to me, his goal was fat loss or weight loss. Now, the first thing he said to me is, for what he was doing was he was cutting out all his carbs. And, after questioning him, after, delving deeper into it, it was becoming unsustainable for him, because he comes from a culture where he eats a lot of rice with his meals. There was no way that he could actually cut them out completely. But not only that, he just wasn't feeling good. He enjoyed eating rice with his meat or his vegetables. So when it comes to things like this, let's look at the bigger picture. So we don't have to cut out our carbohydrates altogether. What we do want to look at is actually thinking of our portion control. And I like to actually add things into our diet as such, which is going to enhance our diet and eat the foods that are going to serve us better in this space. Alrighty. Okay, so moving on, because I'm on a time limit here. So if you're on, please hit the like button, give me a thumbs up, send me a heart, send me some love if what you're hearing is valuable and is resonating with you. Alrighty, so another top mistake that we make when we're trying to lose fat is that we're snacking all the time. So we actually usually snack out of boredom or out of habit. Alrighty, so one sure way for us to consume a lot of empty calories is out of boredom. Alrighty, so you'll find that, and a lot of the time what we're snacking on is things such as your simple processed carbohydrates. So such as your crackers, such as your chocolate bar, your lollies, and even trail mix and nuts. So although nuts in particular are super, super healthy for us, however, when we're snacking and we're actually sitting there with that whole bag of trail mix or that whole bag of potato chips, we actually lose the ability to be able to control the portion sizes that we're consuming. Alrighty, so that is one of the biggest things that will lead to weight gain, losing control of our portion sizes. Alrighty, so if we're constantly sitting there and eating out of a chip packet, mentally, we're going to want to finish that chip packet. It is very hard if we've got an open packet in front of us to just take a handful with the packet still open in front of us and not go back. So in that moment, you're actually setting yourself up to not be successful. Alrighty, so instead, let's look at if you're wanting to consume some of those products. Like, by all means, I'm not one to say cut everything out of your diet. Absolutely not, because that's been restrictive and it's been unsustainable. Spit my words out. And you're not going to be successful, and especially if it is something that you enjoy eating. Alrighty, so my big tip here for you is actually portion your the snack size out in advance. Alrighty, so if you're getting your nuts, actually portion out a certain amount that you're going to eat and put the packet away. Alrighty, and then what you have in front of you, mentally, that is your portion size, and that's the only amount then that you're going to eat. Alrighty, and actually be mindful around it. So practice mindful eating in that instance. So actually feel the texture of the food in your mouth. Chew it, chew it consistently for up to 20 chews. How does it feel? How does it taste? How does it smell? What does it look like? Actually think about what it is you're eating and enjoy what you're eating. Because, if we're not enjoying what we're eating, then we're more likely to go back for something else. Alrighty, so I still want you to be able to enjoy or eat the foods that you like, and I really want you to enjoy them. Alrighty, so if you're going to choose some of those foods for your snacks, pre-portion a certain portion out and actually take your time eating it and really, really enjoy the food that you're eating. Alrighty, so there we go, guys. They are my 2 tips for today. Like, this is a huge, huge topic, so I've actually split it into 2 as such. So these are the first 2 topics that I'm touching on today. So really generalized information here. If you're having challenges or struggling within yourself and with your health and fitness, and in making those choices that are serving you better, or having trouble making the choices that serve you better, please reach out. I'm here to help, and I would love to help you and be able to guide you and teach you the ways that we can do this so that you can move towards the results that you want in a healthy and a sustainable manner. Alrighty, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Till you next week. See ya.